Everybody, it's Jillian yet again. Yeah, wow. So yesterday and the day before, well, all of last week and then most of this week, I've been working on this really, really cool project, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I and I'm not gonna say what it is exactly it is yet, but it's a project that needed like 100% of my hormones. Okay. Some of you are going to be in a project of your life. You're going to be in the project of your life, whatever it is. And you're going to have so much riding on a project. Let's say somebody, let's say your boss is giving you this major project that's going to make or break the company. And you are now solely responsible to be the one to present it, to do it, and whatever. And so it's like almost at the behest of everything else to where you're not even, I mean, you obviously take care of your priorities, but that project consumes you. Well, guess what? It's the adrenaline that kicks in. And so I think I started the project like on Thursday or Friday, and I took the whole weekend to gather all of my stuff for this project. And then and then it was configuring the project, putting things in specific orders and all this stuff. And and then my body was able to relax for a minute. And I was doing things for like I was staying up for like late, working 17 hours, in a day. And then going to bed totally exhausted, and then doing the same thing, getting my period, of course. And then when I see, I guess, and then sometimes when I look in and I say, okay, I need to go and correct something, because it's a project for one of my books. So I really wanted to get it all done. But I'm not gonna say what exactly it is yet. So I'm gonna leave that to be a surprise. But I'm like, okay, what else I gotta do? Okay, so then, I thought of something else, and I'm like up like all night just getting it, all day yesterday until late to getting it. And finally I got it all figured out. Everything, all the research that I've done, whatever, I finally got it figured out. And then it was like my body was able to relax. It's such a trippy, trippy thing when your body knows that when it needs to kick in, because you are in a fight or flight. Because in a lot of ways, when you're doing projects that are really important to you, whatever they are, it is like a fight or flight type of thing. Because, I mean, I've been steadily facing a lot of the naysayers the last couple days. I mean, I have a tweet account. I know that Lillian created a tweet account for the Jillian Mighty Pro for the Jilly Juice, but I'm not active on that, and I don't really need that, which is fine. I mean, that's great that she did, but I don't want her to have to manage that because that's like it's not something that I would, because I'm not trying to tweet stuff, and I'm not trying to have a string of haters just giving me a bunch of crap. So I created my own tweet account that that I can go and respond to Morning Krista. I can go respond to people's assertions of me. I can respond to anybody's, wondering who I am, questioning me, whatever. I can put links down. I could do whatever. But I don't make actual posts. So now I'm getting all these Twitter followers, which I know they're not really followers as in like they're supporting me. They're just people waiting for me to say something so that way they can tweet their response. And I have no posts, on my tweet account, none at all. And I'm not going to post on my tweet account because that's not the venue that I work from. I don't just post crap and then let everybody say stuff. That's not how I would use social media. I use social media like Facebook Live or Facebook or like YouTube for those that I block on Facebook. So that way they have access to this information. And yes, it could feed and fuel their, monetized platforms. And that's fine. If that's how you need to live, is live off of me, parasitic, okay. But in the effort to help those that I've blocked who may get some value, I don't mind fueling my videos for other people's financial platforms as long as they're not breaking the law. Okay, if they're breaking the law, then yeah, those things are, the hens are coming to roost at some point. So it is what it is. But yeah, so I go on to these Twitter feeds about J Juice, and then then there's the Miles Power and then there's the Jeff Holiday and all of their supporters, and then everybody else that claims to be, oh, I'm a student of biology, or I'm a chemist, or I'm a degreed in this, I take in bio this and bio that. And I'm like, my God, all of these people who claim to be so well versed in chemistry, so well versed in biology, so well versed in biotech, or anything else that, you know, they claim to be a professional and that my information isn't good enough for them, don't even understand lactobacillus, lactic acid, probiotics. And it's interesting how Miles Power, who, you know, I've seen his stuff, I've seen his YouTube videos. I mean, I haven't seen them all, and believe me, I don't want to go through all the YouTube, but I've seen at least the advertising. You know, when you look up Jilly Juice, my God, you see everybody just taking their market share around Jilly Juice. It's like, wow. So I create a market for a lot of people, which is really actually admirable that I've created a market, because when you create a market, you create interest, you know, and I'm not doing it because for the kicks, like, ooh, yeah, I create a market so everybody can feed off me. I mean, that's not what people do when they create something that's wonderful for humanity. They're not trying to give everybody a platform to go and skewer them, but they do. But I find it interesting how Miles Power claims to be a chemist, claims to know all about chemistry and all about, you know, elements and all of that stuff. And yes, I may have said, you know, element here or compound element here, and maybe mischaracterized some of the elements by saying that salt is an element. No, salt is a compound element. It's NaC. Okay. But, and then there's something else. There's like NaC1 and all that stuff, or NaCl or something like that. So whatever. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. Not a big deal. But and I heard that from Atara, she said that he tried the juice and then he spit it out. So he made it. So I think I give him a little bit of credit that he made the juice, assuming that he did make it the right way. I don't know. I wasn't in his kitchen. I don't know what he did. But I'm assuming, I think he has my book too, which I think is admirable too. He got the book. Now, whether or not he, you know, returned it, whatever, I don't care. But the fact that he did put his money where his mouth is, he did try it, but he doesn't understand it. And, you know, and that's fine. If he doesn't he tried it, he didn't understand it, okay. You know, not everyone's going to like it. That's just what it is. But still, to demonize it because of the salt is what I don't truly understand. Because it's not just salt. And that's the hardest thing to get through that crowd that's afraid of the salt. It's like when you take a recipe, and I know I've said this before, you guys have heard this, but when you take a recipe, you know, and you have one aspect of the recipe, it could be like baking powder, it could be baking soda, it could be, you know, some of the chemicals, like the additives in some of the foods that are out there that preserve, you know, your packaged food. You take one element out of a full recipe, and then you go and demonize it. And I've done the same thing too in the holistic world. I mean, that's what the holistic world is so famous for, is to isolate one element out of a whole recipe and then drive the point home and then show all this evidence how this one element is so detrimental. But then you forget that this is a chemical process that has an ultimate outcome of the foods that you guys are eating that are in packages. And believe me, nobody just doesn't eat packaged food. People do. Even though they claim to be vegan, vegetarian, I'll tell you what, some people do indulge, even though they do claim to be only vegan, vegetarian, off the grid, whatever. Okay? It's a reality that we live in a society. There are packaged foods. You're going to take part. It is what it is. But that's what they're doing, is these mainstreamers who pretend, or who not pretend, but that they don't really subscribe to the holistic world, but they're adopting the same behaviors. They isolate one element out of a recipe or out of a packaged food, whatever it is, and they go and demonize it and find all this evidence to support how the salt and even the water, because they're thinking that this is just salt water, but no, this is not just salt water. And that's, so they take one or two compound elements and they go and demonize it. How you can demonize water, I don't know, but believe me, people will find a way to demonize air. Well, they have. It's called chemtrails. So yes, people have found ways to demonize even the air that we breathe. So Right, Crystal. It is like, it is a bullying, but it's more than just a bullying, okay? Yes, it is in a way in how it manifests, because they're taking something to an extreme. But what they're really doing is they're not understanding the bigger picture. It's the chemistry of the recipe. And that's really, and I've seen it when I did make some comments saying like, well, you know, how can you take one compound element out of a recipe and demonize it? I mean, this isn't just salt and water that we're doing here. This is salt, water, lactobacillus, and cabbage and kale. And it's a probiotic. It's been tested. And even when I did give one lady who asked me proof as far as the test plate, and it says lactic acid, she had a problem with that. Well, why doesn't it say lactobacillus? Why doesn't it say electrolytes? Well, the labs are only testing for lactic acid because that's a byproduct of lactobacillus. It's what the lactobacillus excrete. So what do they test for? They test for the lactic acid, and that's what's on that plate, 13 million colony forming units. But she couldn't even Google that to see what lactic acid was. Now, I knew that lactic acid was a byproduct of lactobacillus. That wasn't something that I was like, oh, I need to go and Google that. No, I mean, it was pretty plain as day. I asked the lab to please test for probiotics, to please test for lactobacillus, and that's what they gave me, the test for what I asked for. And that's what I submitted to the government when they were asking me this stuff. So it's like they all have, even if you give them all the proof in the world, okay, they will still find something to say because they so want to believe that Jillian is the demon. And I completely get that. But I wanted to kind of shoot back at some of them because it is true. If you are a chemist, you claim to be somewhat well-versed in biology, this would not escape you in any way, shape, or form. And this is what surprises me with the science reporters. Like, I haven't fully read the BuzzFeed article, which is a freaking long-ass article, but I'm going to rip it apart. And I'm going to look for her trying to really, I'm going to look for her trying. First of all, I've seen that nobody mentioned the July 5th, as far as Bruce Wilmot, nobody mentioned July 5th that he coded in the ER from a prescription drug, a new drug that his insurance company gave him. They didn't mention that he was on methadone at the time, was given morphine, voluntarily submitted himself into the hospital as far as hospice prior to J-Juice. When he was on the protocol or contemplating the protocol before he actually was on it, he was juicing a lot of fruits, pineapple juice and whatever else. But they mistaken him saying, well, juicing, I've been juicing like crazy, not Jilly juicing like crazy, but juicing. And so when someone says juicing, that especially in the context of fruit, he was drinking a lot of fruit juice, but they were now positioning the information to sound like he was Jilly juicing like crazy. No, anybody that's in hospice or anybody that's starting the protocol is not going to be doing J juice like crazy because they couldn't be able to keep it down. You know why? Because you have to do it slowly. It's something that you build up to. And he said it and I'm segueing into Bruce Wilmot for a minute, but he said it in his one of the videos that has the comments of him trying the juice. He did like 2 or 3 gulps. But he said his goal is to do a gallon a day, which, is admirable, but it's not something you would do right off the bat. But he would have to build up to it. But these are the things that that BuzzFeed and that Jeff Holiday was feeding BuzzFeed and then giving them all of this false information based upon the naysayers. So I'm going to be ripping that article apart. And believe me, I mean, there's things coming in the works that I have figured out. So to see people's responsibility of completely creating these salacious, libelous articles that are, and then now people are slandering my name because of it. Okay. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm going to deal with it. But yeah, I'm in the space now finally to be able to deal with it. Last year, no, I was not in the space to deal with all of the naysayers because the science wasn't all there and everything else wasn't there. So there was no way I was going to tackle it, because you never fight battles that you can't win. This is where Jilly Juice is so profound, is that you will pick and choose the battles, but you have to study your stuff first before you go into a battle. You never enter a battle unarmed. You never enter a battle where you don't have all your freaking duckies in a row. You never, ever, ever enter a battle in that way. If you do, It's setting yourself up for failure. And Jilly Juice does not set anybody up for failure. It actually arms you with the right type of mentality and biochemistry so you can fight battles that you know you can win. Because right now we have people fighting battles they cannot win at all. But man, they are fighting, and then guess what? They're fighting until they die. And it's not too far for them because they're too busy taking care of the world that really doesn't give a shit about them, and they're not taking care of themselves. So you'll watch them. They're all the activists out there. I mean, I have activists against me. There's activists that are against other people. You know, I mean, Jilly Juice supporters are not activists because we're not shoving this down anybody's throat. But believe me, the activists out there are shoving their thought process down everybody's throat, whoever is going to listen. And that is not the platform of J Juice. We're not shoving J Juice down anybody's throat. But people want to make it seem like we are. But we're not. Okay? So that's a total mischaracterization of J Juice. So that's why J Juice supporters can never be categorized as an activist. We are not activists at all. And if you are an activist as far as J Juice, that is not a representation that I want. I don't want anybody being an activist using J Juice as a platform because I get rid of people that do that. Some people like to utilize J Juice as a platform for their flat earth platform. Sorry, but that's a mischaracterization of J Juice. I am not in the same league as a flat earth people. I'm not shoving my thought process down other people's throats at all. So anyways, so that's why I went on to the Twitter to go shoot back at Miles Power, who's out there in the UK. Okay, I did study up a lot on Jeff Holiday and his wife Memory Holiday. They have their own haters. They have their own haters, and you know, and he has positioned himself to be this voice of reason that happens to like to drink a lot of alcohol, okay, who happens to feel like he's on the side of right. Okay, very admirable. However, he's getting his facts wrong, okay? And he's not exactly innocent of really anything. And he's mischaracterizing this protocol. And I didn't, you know, and at first I really heard of him, really. It was Dr. Phil. I think I may have heard a little bit about him before that, but I just was like, whatever. But then since him being tied to the BuzzFeed article, so, you know, whatever, I'm going to deal with all of that pretty soon in the near future. But I really needed to study, you know, all of the different naysayers, the bigger influencers. And then the Daily Mail, Daily Mail, they just said, whatever. I mean, it's right out, flat out in your face. That's a slam dunk, no brainer there. I don't have to study that article too much. So it is what it is, but I am now going to be, you know, dealing with all of that. Okay. But, you know, time needed to go by. I needed to see exactly how that was, well, I didn't need to see anything. I just didn't need to deal with it back then. I wasn't ready for it, but now I am, and now it's gonna, you know, I will deal with it. And so as far as the non sequitur show, Kyle Curtis, now I haven't really seen anything too much. I've Googled him and Jilly Juice, and I haven't seen too much of him talking smack against me. I think really what his issue is the fact that I was tying and saying that certain people are mutated. And basically, no. I mean, I think in the beginning I did say that certain people are mutated if they aren't this specific, you know, type of thing. And I have apologized for that. And I since found out through my research that basically everybody is mutated. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you are on this earth, and you, even on J Juice, because I'm still mutated too, okay? Everybody on this earth is mutated. Doesn't matter. There is no category of mutations. I mean, there is, but there isn't. There's severities of mutations. When you have like a whole spectrum of mutations, there's pretty like benign mutations, but that's all relative, okay? And then there's very aggressive, severe mutations. And death is the ultimate mutation. So it's on that spectrum of like, you know, you're living and you're dealing with with chemtrails, I guess, if we want to demonize the air. If there's the 5G, okay, we need to have high-speed internet, so we have the radiation, and we have pollution from industry and cars and all that. So yeah, so if you're exposed to fluctuating elements that are, you know, not exactly like friendly to your body, you're going to suffer mutations. When there's pollen during spring, you're going to suffer mutations. So, you know, everybody is mutated. Okay, now it's a degree of mutations is what we're actually looking at. And that's why I have now kind of pulled back on some of the statements that I've made, which, yeah, is biting me in the ass, but you know, it had to happen, because through any kind of research where you're uncovering layers, you're going to be going through and questioning so many things. Nothing's off the table until finally at the outcome is the fact that, wow, epiphany, everybody's freaking mutated. To what degree? I guess you will have to figure that out for yourself relative to everybody around you and where we're going in the future. And so anyways, so I cleaned up a mess, and I don't think Kyle Curtis really is inherently like gunning for me. I think he does side with people who have been gunning for me, because it's an easy conjoining of platforms. When you have two sets of platforms of an audience of 17,000, audience of 17,000, and then you want to go and gain more market share, what do? You collaborate with other like-minded people. And I get that. I completely get that, at the detriment of Jillian. I understand that too. I mean, I don't fault anyone for making business decisions, but they have to be legal business decisions. And that's where everything comes down to, because the truth is perception. So who determines the truth? The law determines the truth, whatever that is. Okay? And even the law can't determine ultimately the truth, but it's how you get the truth out, or your truth out, and then who is that affecting and why, and is it legal? And that's the standpoint that I'm coming from, is that since we can't force our truths upon everybody else out there, how is the way your truth exists for you? Is it coming out in a legal way? And that's really the standpoint I have to come from, because Jilly Juice is a truth unto itself that not everybody adopts. And I'm not going to shove my truth down their throat, no different than they're going to shove their truth down my throat, because there's no way. I'm not going to believe their bullshit, just like they're not going to believe my bullshit. Okay? But is the way you're shoving truth down people's throats, is it legal? That's where it comes down to. And that's why we have law and order and the justice system. Okay? So if you don't know if the way you're shoving truth down people's throats is legal, then you better check the laws to make sure and don't leave yourself open. But some people have, and guess what? Now you're fair game. Okay? So anyways, so yeah, that's why I've been studying all my naysayers. I'm looking for the holes in all their bullshit. And they've already exposed themselves. Okay? So, and that's fine. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, but the evidence is all out there. It's not like they're hiding it. The evidence is there. It's a matter of how I position the information. Okay? So, on that regard, so I sent Kyle a letter that I read yesterday. And so he responded back, and I'll tell you how he responded, okay? So we can keep this, because I think last night he had a show, and I'm sure he read the letter to all of his audience, because he did invite me to go on there, but I declined, because that's not where I'm going with this. I mean, I'm not looking and begging mea culpa, please forgive me. No, that's not where I'm going. But I wanted to direct it to him, because I think he's good, but I don't know. I mean, he could be very well be one of my biggest trolls, but from what I've seen on the internet, and I haven't really gone and delved too quickly into his world, I haven't seen too much. And if there is something that he has said that's really been like inflammatory, then let me know. But even then, it doesn't even matter at this point. I haven't seen anything really in my face. So I gave him that letter, and then he responded back, said, "Hi, Jillian. Thanks for the email. What do you say about coming on and having a chat about this? And you can clear the air? Question mark." And then Kyle Curtis, the host of the Non Sequitur. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I said, "Hi, Kyle. As inviting as this sounds to go on and clear the air, I think I'm going to pass. Regardless of who hears me, whether on your show or through me or through my YouTube videos, people will make a choice based upon what they think is best for them. And I can give them all the proof in the world, but sometimes it wouldn't be enough. If you did the protocol and you saw great benefits, that's wonderful. But at this point, I think the wounds of everybody is a little too raw to go in and try to change everybody's mind when right now it's just too soon. So maybe in a few years down the road, but right now it's not a good idea. Thank you so much for responding. Good luck to you and your show. And, because I'm not trying to set myself up, and I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm not trying to shove my thought process down their throat. And just going on to these Twitter feeds is enough to kind of go one-on-one, but to be like in a pit of vipers, that's not where anyone should go and try to defend themselves, is in a pit of vipers. Now, that's what I walked into with Dr. Phil, but I wasn't sure how he was going to position the information, because from what, in my perception, that half the show would be about me and half the show would be about not even about Jeff Holiday, but about my naysayers, whoever they were, and that maybe they would give me a fair, which they did. I mean, they gave me and Bridget and Angie a platform, but Dr. Phil wasn't coming from understanding. He was coming more from, I'm a doctor, salt is bad, and I'm isolating one thing out of the whole protocol, and you don't have enough information to counter it, so you are an easy target. And yes, he was correct. I was an easy target at the time, given the amount of information. That's why they extensively interviewed me, because I wanted to see what kind of arguments I was going to bring up, so that way Dr. Phil can go and counter them then with that other doctor. And you know what? That's great television. That's great television, because it's like taping a teenager growing up, capitalizing on all of their mistakes. And you know what? That's fine. I walked into it. I set myself up for that, and I completely own it. And that's what then shot me to the next hemisphere, which then all the parasites out there came in and then also infringed and took market share from all of that. So everybody had a field day last year. Some did it very illegally, others did it relatively legal, I guess. And and that's where the law will determine who did it legally and who did it illegally. And that's all it comes down to. So it's kind of nice that I have created this type of hubbub and all of you, and that there is this controversy, but it's not like, I enjoy the negative press, because now, I've given you a really great another perspective on the arguments out there against J-Juice. It's the absence of understanding the full scope of this protocol. It's the chemical process. It's the probiotics. If it wasn't for the tests and if it wasn't for the probiotics, I would still be back at square one. But no, the government is a balancing force. They really do try to help their people, even though we characterize them as corrupt and horrible and, the nanny state. They really did give me another platform to work from that I didn't even think of having. But then somebody asked me, one of my friends, I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to put her out there, because she doesn't want to be put out there, and I get it. She's like, well, haven't you thought about having the juice tested? And I didn't even know what that meant. And then I finally did research. So having that question, then give my friends to say, hey, what about this, was probably a godsend that I didn't know would be a gift until today. Because that's what I've been focusing on, is the colony forming units. If you can have 13 million colony forming units survive in this 1 tablespoon of salt and 2 cups of water and the cabbage and kale, that's 13 million testimonies that will totally overshadow all the naysayers. But those that are still intent to not understand will still focus on the salt. But those that understand chemistry, really truly understand chemistry, they'll get it. And they understand the power of probiotics, because it's like mainstreamed all over freaking television. You can't turn on the TV without some product that claims they have some kind of probiotic benefit. You can't look at any MLM that's out there and that doesn't claim they have some kind of probiotic product in their little bin of stuff. So people understand probiotics, but now I took it to the next level and said, hey, there's types of probiotics that are out there. And thanks, Kevin. There's types of probiotics that are out there and it's not even a type, it's what it's paired with. When you ferment sugar, it eventually turns into alcohol, but also what happens is that sugar feeds the candida, feeds the cancer. So you have three different things. Again, the trifecta, the trinity of life and the trinity of death. Okay? And if any of those things, the cancer or candida and the antibodies and the hormones, those are the three things, if any of those are imbalanced, then yeah, you're gonna freaking die. And then you see it in the behaviors out there. So when you're guzzling alcohol and beer all the time, guess what? You're feeding your cancer. Guess what? When you're eating crazy ass processed foods with no countering force of good gut bacteria and good fruits and vegetables, but jelly juice with all of its wonderful probiotics, guess what? You're going to sustain weight. You can go and work out and play that game and be all disciplined and lift weights and diet, but you're still rapidly aging. Even though you're not rapidly aging, but you're still aging. And then you're going to contract cancer, disease, and chronic illness in so many different ways. Just wait. When people are reproducing, they have mutations, because reproduction does come from mutations. That's what stops the extinction process. What is extinction? I mean, that's like a very broad form of a mass death of certain categories in biodiversity. But then you can have an extinction of a person. That's called death. Death equals extinction. Okay? So when like zebras or humans or lions, when they reproduce, they don't risk extinction anymore. Okay? But if they stopped reproducing, guess what? They're extinct. When you stop reproducing and you're dying, that's risking extinction. So for the species to be able to not risk extinction, but yet they are dying, they have to reproduce. Well, what is death? Death is from mutations. Aging is a mutation. It's not something, yeah, it's natural if you violate the laws of your body. If you're guzzling beer every day and you're attacking people 24/7, covering stories that are so freaking negative, you're taxing your body. You're taxing your adrenaline, and you're not replacing the cells that you're taxing. You're not replacing the hormones that you're using. And that's why women hit menopause, because there's no more hormones left to be able to keep them fertile if they are still in a mutated society. See, I'm thinking that, I would be surprised now that I'm looking at as far as menstruation. I would be surprised if I don't get my period at all, because the fact that I am in a pathogenic society. I mean, I'm in Canton, Ohio. I'm like in the middle of suburbia, Canton, Ohio, around industry. Okay? I'm a little bit further away from the oil refinery that I was last time in the freeway, but there's still cars, there's still stuff. I mean, it's not like I'm in the middle of the beautiful Swiss Alps like Jennifer is. I mean, even then the Swiss Alps they have their own pollution, but it's not as much as over here. So I would imagine that even though I've reversed all of my, the major mutations, that the fact that I am in fluctuating negative elements, it's going to trigger, a signal to my reproductive system to keep it on standby. But, I got my period now. I know I said last time that I had it, like the last time was February 8th. Well, March 8th. These months are going by so quickly that I skip a month. I forget a month went by because it's going so fast. I mean, my growth process, my healing process, everything that I'm doing is going so fast that these months just fly by. And it's not like I'm losing any time, because when you're aging, you're losing time. When you're aging, you feel like time is going by so fast. Oh my God. But it's not a bad thing. It's the fact that, the growth process and the learning process is so exponential that you forget that a day has gone by. You forget that a month has gone by. You're like, oh my God, a month has gone by, a day has gone by, this is a year has gone by. Where the hell? I mean, it's only been a year since Dr. Phil, what would it be in April? So this would be around the time, 2 days before I would have received. Actually, I received the OAG letter because it was dated April 12th from Rebecca, who was handling this case. So this is 2 days before Rebecca wrote that letter to me, and probably a week or so, you know, or maybe less than a week before it was delivered to my house in the U.S. mail. It wasn't even certified mail. It was just delivered to my house, U.S. mail. They didn't need to certify it because I wasn't expecting it. But everybody was like, you know, ooh, Jillian, you know, they're like saying, yeah, like a lot of my haters, my main haters are like, yeah, I guess we have a surprise. Jillian's going to get a surprise. And man, yeah, she's not going to know what hit her and all this stuff. Ooh, they were rubbing their hands with glee. And I remember after I got the letter, at first I didn't believe it because I knew that my haters were doing stupid stuff, sending me crap. And so I was just like, you know, is this real? And so finally, when I did call up and confirm it, it was real. And so that's when I got on to task, and I started writing and doing and working with the OAG and getting all this stuff figured out, sent it off. And then, you know, with the advertising, so they had nothing else to say about, you know, my manifesto that I sent them and all the research and getting the lab results and all of that and all the drama around that, because there was a drama around even getting the lab results. Yeah, that was a trip. It was the sales lady was really glomming on to this information and this and trying to like tell me, you know, what I should do and not do, and I'm not going there. But no, then after that was the FTC, and then that's when Jeff Holiday in his video, if you go onto his YouTube, he's like, oh yes, the law is now coming. Ooh, we can't wait. And they're all working, you know, with the different, like the OAG and all and then people were like reporting me to the medical board and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what? How does J Juice, even with the claims that I was making, would warrant someone going to the medical board and reporting me and hoping that they would prosecute me and all this stuff? And then, you know, and the FTC was just like, hey, if you advertise this, because that's all they cared about was the advertising on my website. When I say that this can reverse all issues, and I use the word reverse, not cure, but people want to keep putting the word cure in my mouth. No, I said reverse, but to them, it's semantics. You are still inferencing the fact that you are able to deal with very specific diseases. And since I can't say all the diseases, it was easier to say A to Z. And that is what is behind A to Z, which that's what I used first in the beginning, was that everything with JJ's can be dealt with from A to Z. See, reversed and cure and heal and all of that, when it is being referenced to a specific disease, is not something anybody can ever say unless they are in biotech, because they deal with specific diseases targeting using certain elements, and I could say poisons, but using certain compound elements to target a specific problem. And it may cause side effects, which means that other systems get affected by that specific manipulation of your hormones. Okay, so that was what they were concerned about. It was the fact that my advertising, didn't matter if I said I wasn't a doctor, because I said I was not a doctor. I have proof in my book, the proof all over my website that I'm not a doctor. We're not trying to give medical advice. So I've been pretty clear about that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to give medical advice. You're not my client. But this is the power of the potential of the protocol. But you can't say that. So what did I do? I took everything off of my website that would allude to the fact that J-Juice can do this for any specific disease. And that's why I don't update my website at all whatsoever. I keep it clean. I keep it perfect. Now, what we post in the discussion forum is totally different. Okay, because we can post YouTube videos. We can post whatever we want in the discussion forum, but it's the advertising that is what the Federal Trade Commission was worried about. Because for you to get in my discussion forum, you got to pay money. And that is by the book. Send us a receipt. Now, I don't have a credit card platform that I want to use and deal with to have an automatic where you go in and buy a membership. And then that's because, first of all, it would just be too much. Second of all, people would try to shut that down. And I've had that where I was taking money for a manuscript or for, I don't know, for talking about my book, and people were buying my time to talk about my book and everything. And I was using PayPal and all that stuff. And finally, PayPal was like, okay, this is violating, our community standards. And okay, fine. And then, so I switched to the different banking, Cash App type, Square Cash, Cash App. And that's what I was using in the interim. So, and that's fine. And that wasn't violating anything on their end, you know. So, but I went through the fire of people trying to shut me down from trying to make money doing this too. Okay. So that's why, and this is before the book came out. So that's why, you know, then that's why I switched only to the book, because I don't want to deal with all of that. I want to deal with people trying to shut down my cash, you know, operations, whatever. You know, it's you know, because you're seeing these people that are having meltdowns of people reporting Instagram accounts for spam. And I was looking at that article, this young lady, you know, she was just so like crying and upset. I think it was on the Blaze, and because she's like an Instagram star, and I guess somehow she pissed off a bunch of people, and they all did a whole coordinated attack against her and started spamming her account and shutting it down, and it shut down her money flow. And I was like, holy crap, wow, you know. And she was just pissed off, and I get it. But then she, you know, she came from the streets, and then the only thing she lived on was the Instagram. And you know, and I don't want to have my life be predicated on whether or not my followers, you know, are going to be pissed off at me and try to shut me down. So the modern ways of making money, which is using all of these different mediums to make money, like Patreon and buy me coffee type of accounts. Yeah, it was Jacqueline. And then all these other stuff. I mean, never, ever, ever, ever rely on those as a source of income. Okay, because they're, you know, traditional ways is probably not say the best, but having a backup of a traditional way of making money, whether it's a book or whether it's having a regular job. Okay, I mean, those are probably the best ways to rely on, because most people out there, you know, don't buy into all of the Patreon hope or Patreon hype and all of the all, you know, all that. I don't, even when I listen to videos like on YouTube and there's ads, you know, people do their ads and they get ad money. I don't know how much. I mean, I get a certain amount of ad money from my website, but they're all asking for, hey, you know, donate to my Patreon account. I never do, because it's like, you know, I still believe in the traditional way of making money. Yeah, if I'm gonna, like, I watch TV, you know, these TV stations make a lot of money from the, you know, from the ads. Well, they don't make money from the ads. The ads make money from the ads. The TV stations have to pay for the ads, but the products make a lot of money from the TV stations with the ads. And so, or they pay. How does this work? Fuck. The TV stations, yeah, they get paid much, right? They make money from the ads. So the people that run the ads give money to the TV stations, and that's how that works. And so the content people make money from that. So, yeah, God, figure that one out. Figure out who makes money off of what and when. It's kind of a trick. So, you know, I figure if you write a book, it's traditional. If you and people like what you have to say, and I'm not even doing ebook. I mean, and Kevin was, you know, breathed a sigh of relief, because we're not doing any ebook. And it was funny that Lulu was just like, they were kind of surprised I said that. They're like, wouldn't you want to have an ebook with Amazon and iBooks and Barnes and Noble? And I'm like, no, because we have so many freaking hackers out there. And it was funny that they were surprised. They're like, we've never heard of this before. I'm like, oh yeah, you never heard of Jilly Juice. I got so many people that are so wanting my book for free, and then wanting to then try to take my market share because of jealousy, or they think I'm killing people. But one person out of 58,000 that they could try to loosely tie me to, who's a hospice patient, which is basically pretty pathetic, you know, that says a lot. That one person out of 58,000, I'm saying 58,000 because that's what BuzzFeed substantiated in their article. It was really like over 60,000, but what's 2,000 people? You know, what's 2,000 people? I mean, you know, you round up, right? But I want to say 60 or 58 because that's what BuzzFeed said. So I'm not saying that BuzzFeed is true, but at least it's something that somebody else can say. But I'm not, you know, but it really is 60,000. So, I mean, there's 50% truth in articles and 50% lies. You know, and it's up to us to figure out what the truth is and what the lies are. And it's tough when somebody doesn't understand chemistry. They're going to believe all the lies or the inferences. And so that's the bullshit that I got to deal with. But I guess, it's better to have this problem than not, right? But I do miss the days. I really do. And my husband's watching this right now. I do miss the days to where it was innocent. It was before all of this Jilly Juice stuff where I can get up in the morning and be like, oh yeah, what do I do with my day? Da, da, da. I mean, yeah, I went to work, but I was dealing with PMDD when I was going to work and dealing with all of that. And and then we look forward to the weekend, we go fishing or do this, or I'm bitching to him about we got to go do something fun and go to the zoo and do all this stuff. And now that I'm so mired into all of my work, I mean, I'm not on my husband's case to go entertain me all the time, and now I'm just trying to figure out how we can merge our times because he's busy with work and CB radio stuff and I'm busy with all of my stuff, that it's kind of a nice, like we're now like on an equal playing field in a lot of ways, because I am away from a lot of my friends out there and in California, and I have new friends out here, but I'm doing something different with my time. I'm not completely just relying on, oh, okay, Kevin, wow, 66,000, okay. I'm not just relying on everyone around me entertaining me. I'm entertaining myself in so many ways. Not like I love all the entertainment, but I've created this empire, according to some people. And no, it's not crumbling, according to some of the articles that are out there. No, it's not crumbling at all. If anything, it's taking on more traction, because it's interesting. Every spring, something new comes up. Okay. And I'm not saying anything new right now, but I'm just saying that every spring, something happens in the world of J-Juice. Something happens. So but we've been steadily improving the last couple years. Steadily improving. And so the empire of Jilly Juice is staying strong. I've gone through several different types of people that are on my Facebook and in my inner circle, because when, and people say like, oh, she's such a control freak and she's this and she's that and she's having meltdown over this and she's, skewering business partners over that. And when you have a very specific vision, any CEO of a company or that doesn't have a board of directors to vote him in or out, when you're a head of a company, okay, you have a specific vision. Now, some visions are pretty skewed, and you have some companies that have heads of companies that have taken and bankrupted their own company. Okay. But no, I have a very specific vision, and not everybody was able to meet my vision. They had their own agenda. So yeah, I had to get rid of some people who had their own agenda that didn't fit in with my agenda. Hey, it is what happens. Business is business. J-Juice is a business in a lot of ways, because if I have so many people in my ear, and that's why I cut down on my circle, because when you have so many people in your ear, you're not making decisions really that's for the best for you and for the company. You're making decisions based upon somebody else's perception of what they think J-Juice should go. And so I've had to fight for my own company with people in my own inner circle. That's not something anyone should do. When you create something, you shouldn't have to fight to keep the brand the way you want it with somebody that's right next to you. That should never, ever happen. And if it does happen, then you're entertaining the wrong type of person, when you have to fight for your own brand because somebody right next to you is trying to take it in a different direction. So, and some people have never really, run, and I've never run my own company, but this is the first time I have. The first time I'm paying somebody, the first time I filed, actually the second time I filed taxes with J-Juice as somewhere in the mix. Okay, but I made an okay amount of money last year relative to what this is. Okay, so I've substantiated that I did, do a 2% market penetration based upon my audience. So right there, that is vindication enough that my empire has taken traction. Okay, but yeah, I have shed a lot of different people because, I talk about this thing with gaslighting, okay, which we see in the media all the time. And it does whip everybody into action and certain people. And so, what I have found on my own Facebook, certain types of people will, when I have a meltdown, because I will, believe me, you cannot escape having meltdowns when you live your life so publicly. And I've owned that I've had meltdowns. I've owned that I've been very harsh on some people, yes, because of the space that I was in, and maybe it warranted it. Maybe how I said it maybe wasn't the best way, but hey, you know what? You do what you do. People love you or hate you no matter what. So, and I've made mistakes and I've apologized to some people. And then other people, you know, when I go and I have a meltdown on Facebook for whatever reason, because I'm dealing with something that is coming to surface, and I'm going to now go and fight back. When someone says that I'm getting all of this flack, you know, when you put something out there, you get it back tenfold. I mean, that's what essentially somebody said, you know, in response to one of my meltdowns. And I'm like, how do you take that kind of comment? Now, if I would, you know, so when you have to consciously say, okay, I'm going to take it from the point of view that the person that I'm meltdowning over, that I'm targeting because they're being stupid, like a reporter, and I'm giving it back to them, that's that they're like, I'm their karma. Okay. So that's great if somebody can say, yeah, Jillian, you're somebody's karma. They're getting it back tenfold because they put shit out there and then you're finally fighting back. Good for you. Good for you. Oh no, just having a cryptic flat out statement with no reference on what perspective you're coming from, making me guess, that's gaslighting. And I don't like that. And I have a lot of empaths that do that on my Facebook that I finally have gotten rid of, because if you're not going to be straight in your communication, if you're not going to be straight in your communication and say, hey, I get where you're coming from, you got to fight back. And they're getting it back tenfold from you. Good for you. Kudos to you. Oh no, when you're capitalizing on my weak moment, when I'm saying, hey, I need to take personal responsibility, and then you're compounding it by saying that I'm basically deserve all of this flack, I don't want you on my Facebook. I'm going to delete you. I'm not going to block you because I didn't block this person. I just defriended them. And they emailed me this morning going like, well, I've did nothing but supportive. No, I'm sorry, but what you said and how you said it is not what I want to entertain anymore. I do not want to entertain cryptic comments from people who say they support me. If you're going to be straight in your communication, be straight in the communication. Don't dress it up by making me guess what the fuck you're saying, because I'm not playing detective. I want straight up people telling me where you're coming from. You know, I give people who hate me a lot of credit. At least they tell me why they hate me. They don't pretend to be my friend and then start saying that, yeah, you deserve all of this bullshit in not so many words. Okay. So, you know, so I have shed a lot of people who've been very critical of how in which I've rolled this out, been very critical in how in which I deal with controversy or deal with, I don't know, problems in relationships. And some people don't like the fact that I call them out publicly. But hey, I'm a public person. Not like a public, like I'm famous, but a public person. I deal with things, I deal with it on a public venue like Facebook Live. So if you don't want me to call you out for what you say, don't say anything to give me any ammunition, I guess, in ways to then, you know, to warrant that, okay? If you don't like what I say and you think that I'm being this way, then either keep it to yourself or say, hey, I don't like what you said. You know, and that's fine. I'd rather someone say, I don't like what you said because I don't agree with it. This is this and this is that. And then I'll be like, okay, see you later. Bye. Okay. Because I don't need somebody really just, you know, debating. And that's really what it comes down to, is debating. But since people know they don't like debating, they'll rather just come at it from a very different direction called cryptic comments that look like gaslighting. And I don't like psychological manipulations. I really don't. Be straight. I pick up on psychological manipulations because I, you know, am a daughter of a psychotherapist. Manipulation Central comes from psychotherapy. I get what manipulations are. So, you know, I'm not a stranger to all that. I recognize it. I pick up on it. My gut picks up on it. And when you're trying to look at something from a positive point of view, because when something strikes you in your gut, and then you're trying to spin it in your head from a positive point of view, now there's that, what do you call it? It's a fight. Your gut's telling you that she said something that really wasn't kosher. Then my mind's like, oh, well, I like this person. I like them. They say they support me. What the hell? And this fight. No, listen to your gut. because your mind's going to try to spin it because you still want to keep this friendship because of the other evidence that they support you in other ways. But this isn't kosher. This undermines everything they said that they did for you. Okay? And that's how you guys have to really look at when people say something. Listen to your gut. Don't try to rationalize what they're saying. Because when you rationalize it, now you're trying to intellectualize something that you really should be looking at what your gut is saying, because your gut really does know. And that's why where all the problems come from in our world, is because the gut's messed up and people don't listen to their gut. They're trying to rationalize behaviors out there that have no business being rationalized. Okay? So anyways, that's really all I have today. But I want to give you guys a heads up that everything is great in Jilly Juice world. I feel amazing working on my projects and all of that. And well, yeah. So anyways, I know Kevin's still working on the book. He's doing awesome. What he wrote yesterday was awesome. It was awesome. And about mutations and all of that and bacterias. And I'll tell you what, Kevin, sometimes you go over my head and I have to, go and reread, and, and that's why I can't wait to read what you're saying. And really just understand it, because it really does come at the cellular level. Like Kevin reaches down to the most infinitesimal and explains what happens at the microscopic level. Okay. And I'm big picture. I'm like, hey, here's a whole recipe. He's breaking the freaking recipe. He's breaking down. I'm looking at the whole body as a whole and how they work together. He's breaking it down to the infinitesimal cell. Okay. That is an amazing type of partnership where you can have somebody to break something down to the most infinitesimal thing and then still bring it all together. So that way the whole is still being still being relevant. See, and I didn't know that's the skill that he had, because we didn't really cement. Well, we didn't really I didn't fully figure out where he was coming from. And I know he liked the J juice, but what were the skills that he had to offer Jilly Juice? Okay, so that's why I went through several different people. I went through, Rob guy, who helped me a little bit with the OAG stuff, and I really appreciate him. But we had a falling out because of differences of directions and all of that, and so that's unfortunate. But it is what it is, and so very good, Kevin. Yes, and so finally, Kevin stepped up. And he showed me what he can contribute, because, how do I know? I mean, I don't do interviews. Not everybody understands Jilly Juice at the level that they should. The level that they should. Not everybody understands Jilly Juice at the level that I'm looking for. But Kevin's been doing this for a while. I just didn't know exactly where his skill set laid. And, I'm not an editor, but I do the best I can. I do typos, but we're gonna be editing each other's stuff. No, we're not gonna be perfect. We're gonna have typos in this book, you guys, okay? We're gonna try not to. And I'm gonna make sure that what he says and what I say is gonna get conveyed. But what you've seen in his writing, if you guys get it, then that's what you're gonna see in his writing. So there's not gonna be too much that I'm gonna edit, unless, there's just a word that may convey something else. I don't see myself editing too much of anything out of his stuff. Maybe a typo here or a typo there, but that's about it. I'm not going to be changing concepts in Kevin's work, okay? Kevin's work is going to be so raw and so organic, and I'm not going to try to spin it and whatever. He'll spin it himself because he knows where I'm coming from, okay? So, before I was working on different ideas and, was spinning off these different ideas and mind mapping with other people, and that wasn't the direction I wanted to take, was going off and theorizing what the future is. No, because the future is still unfolding. We have no idea what we're in for in the future. We have no idea. All we can do at this point today is to fix some mutations, try to get this information out the best way we can, get people to understand the chemistry behind this, and looking at how I fit into that the probiotics is what the allopathic holistic world has accepted, but then J juice, yeah, we're dealing with pain. And this is against the Hippocratic Oath. So if you're not willing to deal with pain, then you got to stay in the allopathic holistic world and play with all of their different poisons. But if you understand that the prostaglandin hormone, which aids in the healing process, gives you the pain sensation, is going to be brought to surface, then you get it, you'll deal with this, and then you'll manage the pain accordingly based upon what you can deal with in your daily life. Okay? And we have so many different medications and pain relievers in the allopathic holistic world. You're not going to have a shortage of something kind of aiding you through this process, that you don't have to completely feel like miserable the whole time. And you can take this juice at your own pace. It's not like you have to go and down it, all at once, but work your way up to it. Okay? But what I have found, a lot of people who are only doing a little bit of J juice here and there, not really doing it at the level that they should, but they're my ardent supporters, they're still stuck in the activist world. They're still stuck in the fear world. They're still stuck in the whole conspiracy world. So then there's a disconnect. That's not what I want representing the J juice brand, I guess. Okay? I don't want people still focusing on the whole cell salts and Santos Bonacci. That's not where I'm going either. I'm not trying to take the salt and having it with one element and that's what you're going to be taking. No, because it's no different than organite. When you're taking crystal and matching it with like resin and copper and metal, that's no different than energizing heavy metals in your atmosphere. Yeah, you may be using it to mitigate the Wi-Fi, but then guess what? You're sucking the good energy out of your room by filling it with negative energy. It's no different than having Wi-Fi in your room. You might as well just have the Wi-Fi, not compound it with more heavy metals and negative energies, and then just get the bubble in your body figured out with the right elements. Why compound the issue? When people take in zeolite, aluminum, silicate in their body to fight heavy metals, you're compounding the issue. What's the point of that? Organite is no different than taking aluminum silicate to fight heavy metals. Okay, so that's why I totally am. I'm not. That's what I see as far as the industry, the holistic allopathic. They're taking negative elements to fight negative elements. J juice doesn't do that. We don't take negative elements to fight negative elements. We take positive elements with a mixture of negative elements because it's all about chemistry, yet again, biochemistry, to then achieve the balance in the body. But you have to deal with pain. Pain is something that you cannot run away from. In our society, we've been anesthetizing ourselves for so many freaking years, and finally we're seeing now the negative consequences of anesthetization of our bodies because of the pain. We're seeing now mutated children. We're seeing the vaccine schedule. And the CDC didn't do this. This vaccine schedule is a reflection of how mutated our society is based upon people sticking their head in the sand and not fixing the mutations. So they're bearing children with more mutations that are going to warrant a longer schedule in the next 20 years. So yeah, it's going to be, instead of 1 in 50 getting autism, it's going to be like 1 in 10. And it's not because of the vaccines, it's because people are ignoring the fact that they have mutations that are left unchecked. And then they go and demonize one freaking element out of my recipe because that's all they can focus on, because they don't understand probiotics. Probiotics was even new to me back when I was in the holistic world. I was like, and all I knew about probiotics was apple cider vinegar, acetic acid, ethanol. Vinegar is horrible. Now, I haven't had vinegar in a while because I don't eat a lot of salad. I don't eat a lot of salad, but I don't need to. I drink my J juice. I have I have cereal and I have milk and I have pasta and sauce and I have potatoes and butter and all that, remember my maintenance schedule. This is not the Jelly Juice protocol, just so you know. Okay. But then, what it is I counter, and I don't eat a lot of that stuff, but I have, I can have food in my house that I bought like a couple of weeks ago, still be there. I made a full meal and I haven't done really major shopping in a couple of weeks, but I made a full meal for my husband. I made him like broccoli and potatoes. And then, I made him bacon, yes, and chicken and cheese with, barbecue sauce. And he loved it. And then he had a smoothie and occasionally he does J juice. But it's like I can have all this food in the house and it's not really necessarily for me, but for my husband, and not spend a lot of money. And so, you know, when I am hungry, I'll maybe have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then I'll drink a bunch of my J juice, and I balance out the salt and the electrolytes and the water and the sugar, because we need sugar and we need salt in our body. It's a matter of balance to keep. And then if I need to go and pull hormones out of my body for whatever projects that I'm doing, I pull the hormones out of my body. I get into a very specific, like, targeted concentration of focus. I get so focused on my project. I get so focused on perfecting it. And I guess Jeff Holiday said that I get obsessive. Yeah. When I get obsessed with perfection, I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, it's going to be 100%. I'm not half-assing it. If I half-ass something, it means I'm trying to avoid something. Whenever you half-ass something, you're trying to avoid really taking it on. Okay? So now, you know, with some of these projects that I'm doing, I'm really giving it 100%. But I can because I have the support of my biochemistry with the right elements. And I've pretty much, you know, gotten rid of most of the mutations that have been distracting me. You know, when you have a imbalance in your hormones, it's a distraction when you're dealing with fatigue, and you're dealing with outbursts, you're dealing with mood fluctuations, and you're dealing with constipation, digestive issues, and skin issues, and even muscle issues. Because every time that I would get my period, I would have back issues. So no, I don't have any of that. I have I have cramps. I have cramps a little bit, but none of that. I mean, I had my period like on April 8th, and the only thing that I guess that came up that would tell me that I was, you know, about to get my period was that I was tired. Fatigue is probably one of the only major symptoms of my period now. So, but you know, sleep is restorative. Sleep repairs you. Okay, so which is fine. And so I drink the J juice, and everything is wonderful, and you keep going. But everything now is pretty predictable. So I'm hoping one day I don't ever get my period, but that may not happen given I live in a pathogenic society. But if it does, then it means that it is possible. But definitely my menstruation has changed from a couple of years ago. It really has. So and some of you haven't gotten your period, but don't say it's because it's not. I don't think it's because of that you're hitting. Oh, it might be. I don't know. See, everybody's different. Everybody is different. Some of you may have your period where you only get, like, you know, every quarter. But I don't know. Maybe it's hard to say. And since we do live in different climates and different countries and different situations, it is hard to say what would, you know, and so only you would know. Only you would know what your environment is and what your daily lifestyle is to warrant why your menstruation is in the cycle that it's in. Okay. But right now, with me being on J juice for about almost 3 years come October, and the fact that I reversed most of my mutations and I'm feeling majorly strong, my gut feels strong, everything feels strong, and yet I'm getting my period like on the 8th day of every month, like since February, you know, that says a lot. It's very predictable, and I like predictability. Predictability is probably the best way to live your life. When things are unpredictable, it's because there are factors that you had not considered. Okay? And when people are surprised and they're like, you know, they're surprised and they're dumbfounded and they're shocked, it's because they are oblivious to how they impact the world. Okay? And so some people are going to get wake-up calls out there. And if you get a wake-up call, it means because you were not taking care of business. You didn't know the world that you lived in. Okay? And so that's why, you know, with J juice, things will become predictable because you'll be the one driving the freaking boat, not somebody else driving your freaking boat. When you're driving, nothing's going to be unpredictable unless, of course, well, yeah, I mean, no, because, you know, you'll be aware of your surroundings. I mean, when people are drunk driving or doing stupid stuff, you're going to be aware. If you're not aware, then things become unpredictable. But if you're aware, then most things will be predictable, and you'll be able to mitigate an accident before it happens because you'll be able to see it. Aloha, Tiffany. Oh my God. Hawaii. I miss Hawaii. Hawaii was fun. I'll probably go back there one day. I was there in 2005. 2004, 2005. All right. Well, I'm going to go do my thing. Okay. But you guys just, you know, chill out, do the J juice, find something, you know, find a way to channel your, you know, your healing symptom energy. So that way you're not going back into the same cycle of activism and entertaining all of that crazy ass negative press. You know, and if you're going to entertain, you know, things in the Matrix, I like watching Netflix. I like watching some of these stories confirm what I already know. Now I can watch certain things without having a political slant on it. I don't worry about, you know, all this stuff and going like, oh my God, this is predictive programming. I mean, there's so many different buzzwords out there to support some of these conspiracy platforms that are being used on me now that I'm not like in that world anymore. People act as if now I'm like some mainstream, you know, bubblehead. No. Yeah, and it's not always positive too. Yes, it's good to feel positive, but it's okay to entertain the negative if it warrants it, if there's a return on your investment. And this is where this is not great. You said that, Tiffany. Thank you for saying that. Because sometimes when you have an elemental composition to your body, you have positive and negative elements. It's mostly positive. So you're right. You stay mostly positive, you're going to be okay. But there's a certain amount of negative elements in your body, and that they're there, you know, and why they're there is because it keeps the balance. But how you can look at it from a global perspective is that you have to repel some of the bad entities that are out there. And if you're always positive, then you're going to be attracting and not establishing boundaries. So the negative energy that you hold in your body is what establishes the boundaries when you need it. That's what the adrenaline, the fight or flight, that is what establishes the boundaries. And it's a negative energy, because when people are always on adrenaline, it's a negative energy because you see it in what they post. When they're always posting about activist type of stuff, that's a negative energy. It's adrenaline. But you only need those in small amounts when you are in imminent danger. So never discount that you do need to have a certain amount of negative energy to make sure it protects you from the idiots that are out there, so you can get out of a situation that you weren't expecting. But most likely, if you are being proactive and you're being, you know, and you're aware, you're not going to be having to deal with too much adrenaline, fight or flight. But sometimes you're going to take on things that are new, okay, that you're going to be learning. So with J juice, oh, here we go, I'm going to go off again, another tangent. But with J juice, you're going to be taking on things that you've never taken on before. And so there can be unsuspecting things that are going to come at you, and you'll roll with the punches, and you'll need to have that negative energy to counter some of the punches that are out there, okay? But it's a matter of that you learn the first time. When you make a mistake, you get the negative energy and you'll deal with the positive energy. You make the mistake, you own up to it, and then you move on. And then you learn that specific thing like the back of your hand. And then you go on to something else new. And there'll be something unsuspecting that you weren't aware of. That's where your negative energy will come out again and help you out to then get you out of a jam because you're in a new circumstance. You'll learn it like the back of your hand. Now you adapt. Now you learn, you overcome all that, and now it's there, okay? And so now you have another skill, and then you go acquire another skill, and it's over and over. And that's why with J juice, you're able to take on new projects with no fear, because you're okay with making mistakes. That's what the best thing about J juice is, that you can take on new projects, new things with no fear of making mistakes. Because if you make a mistake, you can always correct it. You can always correct it. And even if you can't correct it, you just own up to the mistake, say, okay, I chalk it up to a mistake. And then you will then study and see, is it worth giving your energy? And so then you learn how to study on the battle before you get in the battle first, okay? You never enter into a battle that you know you cannot win, ever, 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 ever. That's why you study your subject matter first before you enter into a battle. Never, ever get into a battle you cannot win 100%. And sometimes you don't know if you can win it, but at least if you've done 100%, you have all of your duckies in a row and you present it in the way that you need to, you know, you can't lose because you did 100% what you can do. Sometimes not everything is left, you know, not everything you can predict is going to come out in your favor. but at least you know you tried. Okay? So, and Tiffany goes, giving thanks for you. Showed so many folks your book this weekend. Oh, that's so awesome, Tiffany. That's so awesome. I can imagine. Oh, that's so good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then Kevin said, also compressing emotions cause the energy to stay stuck in your etheric body. So be negative for a second if you feel like it, and let it out and let it go. Right. That's what, I guess that's what the breathing thing is too. Yes. And the Wim Hof thing, the breathing, I guess, breathing out the negative energy, breathing in good stuff. Yeah, I that makes complete and utter sense. That does, Kevin. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. So, so yeah, I mean, so new experiences are also gonna give you instances where you're gonna have to take on some of the negative energy, and you'll spin it and you'll convert it. So, even though you will experience some negative energy, you'll learn from it, you'll spin it, you convert it, and you move on. And that's why I don't have any more issues from the Federal Trade Commission or anybody else or the OAG, because I know I'm not inherently bad. They know I'm trying to help people. I have a freaking million videos so somebody can see my, my demeanor. Okay. So, I'm not some rambling, which some people might argue with that, but that's okay. But I'm not some rambling Unabomber that has this weird ass, look at life. No, I'm looking at the possibility based upon all the evidence that we've already sustained out there. Okay. So, you either choose to look at it or you don't, whatever. But I don't even say that I stay positive. I just kind of I figure I'm pick and choose the battles. In some battles where you're always eliciting negative energy, it's not worth it to me. But sometimes they're necessary based upon the battle. Some battles are worth fighting for, other battles aren't. You got to study your subject matter before you enter into a battle. If you don't, you'll set yourself up for failure. Okay? And sometimes it's worth it just to go and throw your hat in the ring and see what happens. Just to prove a point. Whether or not you win or not, it doesn't matter. Because really, you'll calculate the loss that you have, and the loss is worth it. What do you gain from that loss? See, and that's where J-Juice comes in, is that you'll be able to figure out, is it worth losing? Like when you go and gamble, I can afford to lose $20. But hey, the possibility of winning like $1 million, well, really is not that great. But, but you see what I'm saying, if you can gamble what you can afford to lose. Okay? That's when it comes to the same thing with the negative energy. Gamble, use the negative energy, what you can afford to lose. If you can't afford to lose, yourself, then don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to lose yourself. So only gamble what you can afford to lose. Yes, Kevin. Oh, right. The deep breathing can indeed reset how you feel. Nice one. Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. I listen to you occasionally, okay? It's not like I don't. I'm kidding. So anyway, so that's the power of J-Juice, is understanding and choosing the battles, taking on new experiences and new skills. It's okay to make mistakes, and you get back on the horse and you keep going. Okay? And that's all you can do. And if you're on the side of right with wonderful, awesome intentions and you own up to your mistakes, you can't lose. You really can't. Okay? So anyways, you guys have a good day. I got to do some stuff, but enjoy your wonderful, beautiful Jilly Juice day. I know I am. I know I am. And, my desk looks so much more organized. I'm organized upstairs, sort of. My bedroom needs to be organized more. But clothing, I got to rearrange my closets. That's another project I got to do. But my dog, she's doing amazing. She's beautiful. She listens to me. She saw a cat and she had her hair up and all that stuff. And she goes after cats, okay? But I said, sugar, in a really deep voice, and she just stopped right there. Bridget Lee, the older you are, the more mutated you become. That's true. That's true. But yeah, my dog is just, she's right on point. And so, your life is going to change when you're on J-Juice, but you got to give it the time. You got to give the time, give the energy, give the space, entertain things that are going to help you and help confirm the power of J-Juice, and try not to get involved with too much of the negative activism stuff, because it's only going to just suck the life out of you. You need the life. You don't need it sucked out of you. And I mean that in so many different ways. Okay. I'm not going to go there in the other ways. I'll try to make this a little G-rated, just a tiny bit. All right. I'll talk to you later, guys. All right. Have a good one. Thanks a lot. Bye.